Okay, well, you've learned the alphabet. Now it's time to start learning some nouns. These nouns will be useful to us in understanding forms as will become clearer as we move along. Here's where we are in the table of contents. When you're done with this, what you're going to do is move on to exercises in the paradigm nouns. But let me introduce to you first these paradigm nouns. You can find them in Chapter 1 of Greek Before Christmas. The PDFs are available here. If you click this link and you go to page 18, I believe it is, you end up with a page that looks like this. And you'll see that right here we have 9 nouns, and I want to introduce them to you. This is Athena, and you'll see how she's written. Athene, Athene. In fact, it's he Athene, and you'll see that it has a haute in front of it. I'll explain in a minute about these hautes, achenes, and he's, but for now I want to pay attention just to the noun itself, Athene. Athena, in the singular, you'll find out in the next chapter that in the plural, this word means Athens, the city. In fact, the S on the end of Athens indicates that it was always a plural. The word for head, as you can see, is kephale, like our word cephalic, hydrocephalic. You'll remember cephalopods, squid and octopi, for example, who seem to have their feet growing out of their head. You'll notice that when Greek has a K, very often it comes into English as a C, as in hydrocephalic or cephalopod. That's because it passed through Latin first. The word for battle is mache, he mache, he Athene, he kephale, he mache. These illustrations, by the way, are colored pencil drawings done by a wonderful former student of mine named Leah Vincent, and I had intended perhaps to use these are drawings of museum objects and parts of museum objects, but it turns out that using real photographs of museum objects is restrictively time-consuming and expensive, so that was impossible. Leah drew these out, and so those are the first 3 nouns. Here's another one. He kithara, this stringed instrument, how strange. He kithara, guitar, guitarra, la guitarra. Some words you see, guitar, trace their heritage back very, very far indeed. Here's the word for door. Hethure, thure. You may recognize in this our word thyroid. The oid at the end of a word means looks like, and so presumably whoever named our thyroid glands thought that they looked like one of these double doors like this. Thure, he thure. Here is an injustice which the Greeks called adikie, he adikie. You'll notice that adikie begins with this ah that you know from words like atheist. Sometimes it has an N with it when it's followed by a vowel. Anesthetic, the ah or an that means not, we call that an alpha privative in Greek. So this means an injustice, a not justice. The wagon, he amaxa, he amaxa. The table, he trapeza. You'll notice trapezoid from geometry, right? That table-looking oid, thyroid, trapezoid, that table-looking thing, that shape that has 2 parallel sides. And then he musa, from which we obviously take our word muse. Now you'll notice that all these words have as their word the, he. And you'll notice that I've introduced randomly. Sometimes I give you the battle, and sometimes I give you door without a the in front of it. When it doesn't have a the in front of it, Greek tended to hear it as because Greek didn't have a word or an under normal circumstances. So I'm just randomly showing you here the battle, a door, he mache, but not he thure, just thure. We could just as easily speak of he thure, the door, and a battle, mache. If you want to specify this or that, this one or that one, you can see that the word for this, that the word for this is haute, and the word for that is ekene. And you'll notice the strange thing that whereas we say that head and this injustice, Greek always uses the article with that, the word the. So they'll always say that the head and this the injustice. Obviously, we won't translate it that way. That's why I have grayed out the words the in these captions. But I want you to see that the word the is there. Ekene he kephale, that head. Haute he adikie, this injustice. Now, let's move on to the next three paradigm nouns that I want you to learn. The word for sailor, the word for soldier, and the word for young man. Nautes, or nautes, that when I put in that v or uf sound, that's modern Greek. Nautes, a sailor. Ho stratiotes, the soldier. Ekenos ho neanies, that young man. I could just as easily have said Ekenos ho nautes, that sailor, or neanies, a young man. I hope you're noticing that the word for the changed, and so also did the word for that. And when we come across the word this, you'll see that it did too. And what's changed is that we've changed genders. Those of you who've studied Spanish, for instance, will know el hombre, la mujer. Different words for the, depending upon the gender of the noun. And so, he is the feminine word the, and ekene is the feminine word that, and haute is the feminine word this. Ho is the masculine word the. Ekenos is the masculine word that. Okay, your task now is to memorize these 12 nouns in the first group. And I want to show you how to do this. At least how I think you should do it, and this method calls on you to do it this way. So, when you return to the table of contents, you'll see that there's an exercise called Memorize the Paradigm Nouns, Group 1. When you follow that link, it will take you to this exercise. And this is like you can see that there are 12 items in this lesson. You need to get them memorized. If you, here's our word for muse, and if you don't remember how that's pronounced, you can click on this.
Emusa.
And you'll hear it. Once you want to cycle through these, hitting the next button and trying to make sure that you've got them memorized, so that you can look at the picture, maybe cover it with your hand, and anticipate. Say, I know what that word is in Greek. And as you come across, as you say, I really know he musa, I could spell that. I can look at the picture and say it. Then then you click this, and it takes it out of the stack. And when it takes it out of the stack, you'll have only only 11 instead of 12 items there. Now, let's go back to the table of contents, and you'll see that there are exercises after you have cycled through that and kind of flashcarded your own learning of those 12 words. You can get into the exercises, and here we go with those. If you click this written paradigms group 1, here's what it's going to look like. It'll present the picture, and then it will ask you which word is the right spelling. And I'm not sure I can get it to do this right now in this particular mode, but when it loads up for you, this one will turn green for a while, this one will turn green for a while, this one will turn green for a while, then this one will turn green for a while. When the right answer turns green, either hit return or click on the button, and that will be your answer, but you've got to answer it while it's green. This is a timed exercise to force you to focus and answer quickly. Let's try it, see if it works. Here we are for this one. There we go. Is it Mahe? Is it Amaksa? Is it Musa? Is it Neanies? It was Amaksa, and we're already too late to answer correctly. So you'll need to cycle through it again. Okay, that's how that exercise works. When you're through with this exercise, and it will tell you when you're done. After you get all of these right twice each, I believe it is, it will show up that you've completed the exercise, and the program will report your score to you. Then you'll come back to the table of contents, and you'll move on to this exercise, the spoken one, and it will look like this. It also will have the same 12 words in it, and it'll say, here's this word. It looks like this. It means battle, fight. Which one is the correct one? Is it
Hekitare?
Is that hekitare? Or is it
He adikie?
maybe it's he adikie? Or is it
Hemahe?
hemahe? It really is hemahe, perhaps you'll recall. And in fact, there you go. Okay, so that's how those exercises work, and that's how you learn the first 12, the first group of the paradigm nouns. Get right to it and memorize those things. You'll be proud of yourself when you're done, and we'll move on to the next thing.